Some data scientists or students who are already familiar with Python Pandas, which is a uh, Python package for data manipulation and analysis, might have a question like, can't we just use Python Pandas instead of SQL? You can a lot of times you can definitely use uh, pandas because it's a powerful tool for data manipulation and analysis, but there are several scenarios where SQL is more appropriate choice than pandas. We're gonna cover more about pandas uh, in other sections. So when you're working with very large data sets, SQL is more appropriate because a lot of these uh, packages, pandas, or not limited to pandas, they load data into memory. So if you're working uh, on this locally, it limits this your ability to handle very large data set. Say your laptop or desktop has 16 gigabytes of RAM. That means because pandas load data into memory, which means you can have data set larger than the amount of RAM you have. On the other hand, or if you're not using your local data set, then you have to use some kind of cloud service, and they're usually charged by the amount of memory and CPU you use. So it can get pretty expensive if you use lots of memory. And SQL databases, on the other hand, they are designed to efficiently handle and query large data sets that you cannot easily fit into memory. Um, a lot of cases where data size exceeds the available memory, SQL is the better choice. You often like work with database that stores like terabytes of data, and by using SQL, you can efficiently go through a large amount of data. And as we mentioned in other sections, data is a lot of times stored in relational databases or databases, although it's not relational, supports SQL. So this data can be accessed directly through SQL, and it is more efficient. So uh, extracting large amount of data from a database to a local machine just to use pandas can be impractical and time consuming. And you always want to try to filter as much as data before leaving the database. And because SQL databases are designed to handle multiple users and manage data access securely, if there's a case where you need concurrent access to data or have specific security requirements, it is often easier to use database with SQL. And you your data might be located in like multiple tables or even multiple databases, and you might have to perform complex joins and queries. So pandas can perform joins and queries, but SQL is often more efficient and easier to use for complex operations. And with SQL, this data processing, especially filtering and aggregation, happens on the server. which means you can reduce the amount of data that needs to be transferred over the network. Nowadays, when a lot of cloud services are used, you are often charged by amount of data that you transfer over the network. On the other hand, pandas require data to be loaded into local memory first, which means you would often not only it's inefficient uh, in terms of using memory, but you oftentimes transfer more data than it is necessary. And if you have a requirement of real-time data access, uh, when you're building like a dashboards or a reporting tool where uh, data just changes dynamically and frequently, uh, if you use pandas or any packages like that, you often uh, have like a stale data, which might not be what the stakeholders need. And so overall, if you're to have like a environment with limited computing resources, um, it is always good to do as much of manipulation and analysis possible with SQL queries.